Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I've got 2 U's, which is not good. I could play Ulu as a short word to get rid of the U's. That's going to retain the Y and probably won't score very much. Loony is also good, L-U-N-Y, but that retains 3 vowels including a U, so this is a tricky opening rack. Hopefully my opponent will provide something to help me resolve it. I don't think it's quite bad enough to change. Just playing YU may be a way of sorting it out, because retaining the N with the U helps to soften the badness of the U. Now, I can play YU at G6. Only 9 points. I don't have a tile for going underneath the J. So, should I change? What can I score using the J? Well, not very much. Now, if I do play YU here, I'm providing a good opportunity for my opponent. YU takes an A and a K in front, so column 5 is looking good. And also B or M could go above the Y. So what I'm going to do is change my tiles. Certainly get rid of the U's and the Y. And I think I'll stop here. This is quite a bingo-y set of 4 tiles. And I get 2 E's plus a W. But I think my opponent has got limited options with this play. He's going to play in rows. Well, he's not going to be able to get anything doubled or tripled. I do have a scoring tile in the W, so I may be able to play we or you. Jewel is also playable, but for not many points. And wheel and ween are both good, and possibly weenie. Not sure about that. I certainly don't have a 7-letter bingo with this rack, and I don't think there's an 8 either. I don't recognise my opponent, but I note that he does have a higher ISC rating than me, so he might be pretty good. Now, my opponent bingos gets 61 points. I'm 81 points behind. I've scored nothing. And he's provided good floaters in the R, the S and the T, so I need to be sure that I don't have a bingo. Well, I can't see one. So, where do I play my W? I can certainly play U in column 8. And it does unfortunately obstruct the S and the T as floaters. I'd like to keep them available because I'm looking to come back with a bingo, but I think the board is still sufficiently open. There is a non-bingo double-double available in row K. Okay, I can't see a play which uses that. U scores 20 points, which isn't great. But I can't see that any good spots for my W. Pretty good. I think Benzil's is good. Can't see anywhere for that. 31 points for my opponent. He's scoring well. So, do I have a bingo with this rack? I don't think I do. Ruttius doesn't take anything in front of it. There's nowhere for Benzil's, which I think is good. And I can't see a bingo through any of the floaters. So, what can I do with my Z? I could play Whiz down here. That's pretty good, 35 points. I'm wondering if I can play in row K, placing my I underneath the Q. Let me take this back and have a look at it. So a word with I-E in. No, can't see a way of playing such a word and playing off the S, and I would like to play off the, playing off the Z. I would like to play off the Z because it's not a bingo-y tile. And with the whiz spot available, I'd like to take it. The rack leave isn't great. L and N don't go well together. The B's not particularly bingo-y. But I can't see another good spot for the Z. Well, that's not too bad of a pickup. V isn't a great tile, though. And I no longer have an I for going underneath the Q. Javel is good. That's just been blocked. So, what do I want to do? I'm 70 or 80 points behind, and I don't have a great rack. It would be nice to play off the B and the V. So I could play... Well, I could play verbal across here. This isn't going to score a lot, but it sorts the rack out pretty well. Only 15 points. It does open up a bingo lane in row E, although at the cost of taking out column 6 and the floating R of Ruttiest. An alternative would be Brave in row L, but that would keep LNS, and I think NS is much better than LNS. And it would be 5 more points. I think I'd rather sacrifice 5 points and avoid the LN combination. I'm wondering about playing in column 6 if I've got a 5-letter play, placing my V or my B on the triple letter square at B6 and ending A or E. But I don't think I've got such a play. So I'm going to go with verbal, which does take an S, so column 11 is available. Great! That is an excellent pickup. So I've got leasing in column 11 and verbals. And I may have a double-double for a play with S in second spot. Now I note that in row O I've got singable. I think it's singable and signable are both good, but singable places the G on the double letter square. I've got a slight doubt about that, but I think it's good. So, is it worth looking for a bingo in column 11 with an S in second place and ending with an A, an I, or an E? I don't think so. Because I don't think it exists. This will be hugely annoying if it comes off, since I have bingos I definitely know. This is not a good rack. Way too many vowels, but I do have a scoring tile in the Y. And I have the S. So if I can clear out some of the vowels, hopefully I'll be able to play another bingo. I have a 14-point lead, but my opponent is on turn. Rem takes a C and a P in front of it. I have neither. I do have an O for going underneath J. But I think it's an absolute priority to play off an O and an A, and that's going to be difficult to do with playing off the Y as well. A-O-Y, not good. If I had an R, I could play ovary in column 5. Now, what about Ophi? I think Ophi is good, and that plays off exactly the tiles I was looking to play off. Ophi is certainly good. This opens up a good bingo lane in column 2, which is good because I have an S. Is there any other play which uses A, O, and Y? 20 points is quite a good score. No, I think this is fine. Great, I draw the second blank. But I have 2 O's. Alsoon is good, that plays in column 2, making no and EA, and it also plays in column 11. So the only danger is if Ophi is a phony. I don't think it is, but I have a small amount of doubt in an enormous number of the words that I play. So the double-double is still available in column 11 for an S in second place, and any of my vowels can go after the P. So let me run through the alphabet. I'm looking for bingos with an S in second place. I don't think there will be one. I can't get the hang of this, moving this around properly. I want to keep the tiles in alphabetical order. That's the Alsoon play. A Panodos is good through a D, I think. Okay, so I can't see a play with S in second place. Now there is column 1 for a bingo ending in S. So let me do this again, just looking for any 7-letter play. Try and move it a bit more carefully to keep them in alphabetical order. Right, well that spot's been taken. Ophi hasn't been challenged. I've got Alsoon in column 11. Core takes nothing in front of it. So what would be better than Alsoon? Well, maybe something which overlaps P, R, and E. It is going to be worthwhile being able to consider alternative bingos. So, for the third time of asking, let's see if anything occurs to me. I'm looking for sevens. Nothing so far. It's good to have Alsoon in my pocket. Still haven't seen anything apart from Alsoon. Well, maybe it is the only playable bingo. I've had a look to see if this plays lower down, but it doesn't because the E's got to go next to the R, and that would place the N next to the P. So that's 74 points. And I pick a horrendous rack up, 6 vowels, or 5 vowels rather this time, including 3 I's and a U. So that's pretty grim. Is it grim enough to change? Well, that depends on what I can do with it. "37 tiles left, which is a lot. Both blanks have gone. And there's 1 S left. With this number of tiles left, there are certainly bingos left in the bag, and there are bingo lanes available on the board. Irid is good. I think as a bare minimum, I'm looking to play off 2 I's. Irid would leave I, O, U. "42 points for my opponent. That's good. Good for him. He's only 37 points behind. Now I do have Iodic in row B, but that doesn't score a lot, and it opens up row A. I don't have anything for going after. I don't have an E for going after X. It's tempting to change. This would take quite a while to play through. I just don't want to overlook a 20-point play. I guess onto an N I would have Diuron, but that would leave 2 I's, so this isn't good. I've only got 9 minutes left. There's a lot of tiles left. This would take a lot of time to sort out. So I'm going to change. Let's get rid of the U for sure. The O, no point in keeping any I's, or the D. Just the R. Well, maybe I should have kept an I. But I have scoring tiles now in the H, the K, and the B. I've got hunk and bunk. But is there anywhere good to play them? It would be good to play off one of the N's as well. There are 2 N's unplayed. Twin, I think, takes a K, so I could play Knub in row N, making twink. 32 points, that's pretty good. I don't think the B is particularly dangerous. Not many bingos end in B or have B as penultimate letter. That's 32 points. Have I missed somewhere better? No, I don't think so. I am pretty short on time. I'm still a little short of vowels, and I note that there are 6 E's unplayed, and to have an E would make column 13 so good because of the axe hook, but I just can't take advantage of that. I do have a Y for going underneath the B of nub, so I could play NY. 38 points. Well, my opponent's taken that out, but he's only scored 24 points. Now, this rack is quite good in the sense that it has words like handy and hardy. I'm wondering about ranchy for row B, but I'm not confident on that. I've got row H to consider for a play beginning with the second O of Alsoon. Twinkie isn't good, I don't think, with a Y. So, what to do? Only 7 minutes left. I'm not sure whether time has gone, but I am short on time. Ah, this is nice. This is very nice because it takes out a really hot spot that my opponent could easily use, and it retains my solitary vowel, and it scores well. Still no E's. This is fairly balanced. I don't have a 7-letter bingo, and there are very few floaters for an 8, which is quite good when I'm 60 points ahead. Column 14 is now quite hot because of the letters that can go after CH. But actually you're looking at a word beginning with 2 vowels, so that's not super hot, and any such play would open up column 15. I don't have any scoring tiles. I don't have a C or P for going in front of rem. I'm looking to see if I've got a play in column 8 ending on the B of verbals. It would certainly be good to play off a lot of tiles because I am short on time and I'm ahead, so I would like to expedite the end of the game. I've got the L and the T for going in front of axe. So I could play gat. Can't now. That's quite a good score for my opponent, 40 points. And he's opened up row A. So I immediately can see that I can play glad, and the rack leave is good. 25 points, not a huge score. Can I do better than that? I don't think the D of Mitched is amazingly dangerous. Certainly row A is more dangerous. Well, I would have Vauntier onto an R, and I'm wondering if I have Vaunty just ending IE as a 7. If I do, that plays in row C because AM takes an E at the end. That's tempting. I certainly should know that word, and I'm not sure about it, which may be because it's not good. I don't have anything great through the D of Mitched. I will play Vaunty if it remains available, and it does. I don't think this plays anywhere else. I would have unnative through an N, but there isn't one. Let's see if this stays on. If it does, I have a 100-point lead, and there's only 2 tiles in the bag. Great, my opponent challenges, and the word is good. Fantastic. And I can see the remaining tiles, the remaining 9 tiles, and you can see them at the bottom there. Only 2 vowels, and doesn't look particularly bingo-y, although gin shop is there and poshing, but not many spots available for bingos on this board. And I think even if my opponent does bingo, that I should win. I do not have any scoring tiles, and I have 6 vowels, so I'm going to struggle to score very much. But if my opponent bingos and gets 80 points, I'll still have a 20-point lead. Okay, so he's now 80 points behind. I can see the tiles that he's got. He does not have a bingo. What can I do with this rack? Well, I could play through the V of Vaunty. I've actually got 5 minutes left. I thought for a while I was really short on time, but I seem to have caught that up. My opponent's got good scoring tiles in the H and the P. Neither of those goes above the U of Vaunty, so I can't see anywhere amazing for my opponent to play. So I could play UV down here. 14 points. My opponent can't go out, so I am looking to go out in 2, and UV scores 14. That leaves Olio on my rack. That certainly plays parallel to UV with the O next to the E. Does it play anywhere else? Yes, it does. It plays in column 14, making et and or. Now, there may be a better play than this. The score of 14 points for UV is pretty poor, but this isn't providing any great spots for my opponent. So Olio in column 14, 10 points, and Olio in column 3, 7. I haven't looked around for the best play for my opponent. I don't think he's got anything amazing. What I am doing is looking around to see if there's anywhere else for me to go out. I've got the 2 outs in my pocket. Obvs isn't good. Great, so I can just play Olio down here. And end the game. Just waiting for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he's taking his time doing, but he's now done that. So the final score, 322 for my opponent, 455 to me, a winning margin of 133 points. So quite a big win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, look at that. Ophi was not good. I did have doubts about it. OT is good and O-fish, and I suspect I conflated the two, but it wasn't challenged, and it therefore stayed on the board. Now, it was my opponent to go first. I had a horrible rack and changed. And I could have played UE for 15 points, keeping ILNU, and ULYI for 14, keeping NU. Well, both of those may be slightly better than changing, but not much. Nice bingo by my opponent. I played U for 20 points, keeping line. I could have got 12 more points, but wrecking the rack leave. So again, probably not a great deal between those. Not a nice rack for my opponent, but he was able to get 30 points for his Q. Now I had Benzils, but I couldn't see anywhere for it to play. Well, it did play, but not as a bingo, so it played in row L for 42 points. Instead, I got 7 fewer points and retained the E, and I didn't open up the triple word square lane, so I think I prefer whiz. This is where I played verbal for 15, and there was nothing great available. And now I had plenty of options, but what was best? Well, singable for 80, and there was also snag-like for the same score, and a whole bunch of lower scoring bingos. I didn't draw well from after playing that bingo, but that's often the case because random tiles are not good tiles. Well, a whole bunch of 30-point plays with bad rack leaves. What did I do? Well, this is where I phonied and kept a good rack leave. Fortunately, I got away with it and drew the blank, so quite a significant play, that. Alsoom was the play I spotted and played, and that scores the most, but Teaspoon was also playable somewhere. Well, yes, beginning with the first T of Ruttia going underneath the J of Taj. Horrible rack. This is where I changed. I don't think Oda for 24 points, keeping 3 eyes, is remotely good. And Nub for 32 points, that was my play. And my opponent has all the eyes. And Rye, this was a really nice play because I was short of vowels, and this enabled me to keep the only vowel I had, and it scored well, and it took out a really hot spot for my opponent if he had an E, which he did have. Diatribe. Well, I didn't see that. It's not brilliant because the rack leave isn't great, and I think it was a good idea to take out row A since my opponent was only 30 points behind and row A was a good bingo lane. The diatribe column is not a bingo lane, so I'm happy with my play of Glad. And this is where I had Vaunty, which did play in a number of spots. Let me consider those spots. F14. Okay. Ending in column 14 beside the T and R of tribe, it plays. C4, that's where I did play it. And 14E, okay, well that's in the same spot in column 14, but 1 square higher. Well, difficult to say what's best. But I drew a whole bunch of vowels, but the game at this point was won. I could see the remaining 7 tiles on my opponent's rack and knew that my opponent didn't have a bingo and the game was mine. I don't think the choices there are particularly good because you're looking to go out with 2 with this rack, and I don't think you can do that after Ovule, but you certainly can after UV. And finally, Olio at I14 was the highest scoring play. So another terrific game, high scoring, plenty of bingos, and a wide open board, and a victory by a large margin. So all very satisfying features. But the great thing about Scrabble is that whether the game is a tight game or a wide open game, every single rack is interesting. There is rarely a dull rack. Even when you're changing, the decision to change is rarely clear. And even when it is clear, that you have the choice as to exactly which tiles you change and which you keep. So Scrabble is a beautiful game, and every single rack is challenging and fun to deal with. And if you go on to win the game, that just adds to the fun. So I hope you enjoyed watching that video and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.